Santi with Studio 8 Fitness. McKay and I have been friends for a long time, and we were recently talking about some ways that we could collaborate to help make our clients healthier. And we discovered along the way that there was an area that I focus on in my practice that he does not address with acupuncture. And we thought that might be interesting to share with you. And that area is posture. Now, most of us think of posture and we remember this time when we were young when our mothers would say, stand up straight or sit up straight. And we would sit up immediately, right? We'd follow orders. But as we've gotten older, we don't think like that anymore. And because of our culture, because we're sitting so much more frequently, because we're texting much more frequently, and we're on the computer, we tend to slump. And you only have to look around you to see a lot of poor posture. Well, why is that important? In my practice, posture is everything. I often tell people that our skeleton is like a Lego block of towers. Lego block tower. There we go. That when you build a tower and you want it to stand tall and straight and strong, you start with a base that's very square and aligned. And if you don't do that, if you're a little bit crooked from the bottom, then somewhere along that chain, something else is going to be crooked to compensate so that the tower doesn't fall over. Well, the same thing happens with us. Our skeleton is like that tower, and if we're out of alignment, even a little bit from our feet up, something along the chain will compensate, and will compensate over time in order to not fall over, but also eventually that compensation will lead to pain. So one of the problems that I'm seeing quite frequently right now are sinus problems. People are coming in with all kinds of sinus congestion and sinusitis. It's partly due to the weather, but something that most people don't recognize is that it can also be due to poor posture. Let me give you an example. I recently had a man come in with an issue, actually with his hamstring. And as I was doing his postural assessment, it was very apparent that his head was very far forward of the rest of his body. And I asked him about that, and he actually wasn't even aware of it. He was about 4 inches forward of center. And yet, just like all of us, we don't recognize what's happening over time unless someone sees us. So I asked him about that, and I asked him if he had any problems with balance or sinuses. And he had this shocked look on his face, and he said, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Because your head is so far forward, I would guess that there's going to be some issues." And he said, "Both of those issues." He said, "I've been extensively tested for balance problems, and I also have a surgery scheduled for sinus issues because my sinuses are not draining and I just have chronic sinusitis." And I said, "Did anybody mention posture?" And he said, "No, nobody had mentioned it." And I said, "Well, good, I'm the first one, then let's work on that." And so we've been working on getting him back up, getting his head back over his body. Interestingly enough, it took about 2 weeks of working to get his neck back in position before his hamstring issue completely disappeared as well. So having poor posture and having that forward head position can affect a lot of parts of your body, but also your sinuses. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Okay. So let's think about that. When our posture is the way it was meant to be, when our skeleton is straight, our head is actually back over our shoulders. I call it the bowling ball on top of the column, right? It's on top. When we're standing in that position, our sinuses drain down into our stomach. And that's the way they were meant to drain, using gravity to get rid of all of that stuff. But here's what's happening. Because we're driving or sitting on computers or texting, our heads are coming forward. If you sit on a computer all day long, your head may be here. If you're texting, your head is here. And you only have to look at the car next to you at the next stoplight and you'll see people sitting like this in their car. The head is very far forward of center. When that happens, especially over time, as your head goes forward, the sinuses can no longer drain down this way. Gravity takes over and they drain right to the bottom of the sinuses, and it pools up in there. And over time, bacteria form, polyps start to develop, and all of that happens, and you end up with all those sinus issues. Now, many people address sinus issues from different angles. They go to the doctor and they take medicine. They may go and address it because they've got a leaky gut, which is something McKay would work on. But here's another issue. If you stand up straight and you get your neck back, it could help you. Now here's a quick way that you can check to see how far forward your head is. If you have a broom at home, most of us have a broom, right? Take the broom and you put it behind you so that it's touching your tailbone, the middle of your back, and your head. All three of those points should line up on that broom when that broom is vertical. Now, if your head is here, you know that you've got an issue. It may be even difficult to get your head back to center, but that's what I'm here for. That's what I do, and I help a lot of people get better posture and help their health because of it. So what I'd like to offer you is a chance to come in and have a postural assessment. We do those as part of our package when you begin here, but I'm going to offer it because of McKay's connection. We're going to offer it to you today for free. And if you'd like to come in, we'll do a full posture assessment and a functional movement assessment so we can see where your misalignment is, where you're compensating, where muscles might be tight or others might be weak, and try and help you get back to that perfect vertical position. If you're interested in that, just sign up below, just your name and your phone number, and we'll be calling you to set up an appointment.